Good morning or afternoon, everybody. This is Scott from Ensemble Video. Thanks for joining the Ensemble Video version 4.5 webinar, What You Need to Know. Today we're going to be covering some of the key features, functionality, and administrative changes to Ensemble Video. As many of you know, Ensemble Video is a video management system or a video platform. I do want to highlight some of the major changes that we're making. Many of you also may know that we have been evolving into a more end-to-end platform. So here on our screen you can see we have this concept of capture, manage, and play. And if you have been following anything in Ensemble Video, you now know we're offering lecture capture, screen capture, mobile capture, and live stream capture options. So today we'll be highlighting one of those options, but keep in mind if you're looking to simplify capture and you are keen on Ensemble Video, we have many different options when we get into capture. So couple housekeeping items today. First of all, again, I am Scott from Ensemble Video. I'm the VP of Marketing and Sales. Please don't let that title fool you. I have had my hands on many of these LMSs, video editors, different tools and technologies as I worked in higher education for over 10 years in New York State. Also, I have muted everyone on the call. I encourage you to use the chat window to submit your questions for today's webinar. And lastly, I am recording this webinar, so I'll be sending a recording to all of you in the next day or so. So as you know, we recently released Ensemble Video version 4.5. Overall, this is what we're going to go over today. We're going to break this down into three separate areas in this short webinar. We're going to talk about some of the features. Specifically, we'll talk about our new support for the Matrox Monarch LCS. That's a dual input hardware lecture capture device. We will talk about our custom metadata options and the options for bulk submitting content for automatic captioning. In the interface area, we're going to hit on the video portal, which is a very simple, easy to use portal, YouTube-like portal. We will also talk about a very minor change to the management link in the media library. Lastly, we'll go into some brief administrative options. Specifically, one of them is focused on automatically creating accounts when a user accesses our integration in the LMS. So the simple example of this is I have a user, a faculty member, they're in Blackboard, they're in Canvas, they're in Moodle or Desire to Learn. They launch the Ensemble Video integration and it automatically creates their account in Ensemble Video. In the old days, what they had to do was actually go log in Ensemble once. Now they no longer need to do that. We'll also talk about support for auto provisioning multiple roles. That'll make more sense when I demonstrate that. And then also we will mention that we support nested LDAP groups. So one of the major things that we're going to talk about, and I want to make sure I highlight this because you can get a free trial of this device, is our new product called Ensemble Studio. This is our lecture capture product. You can do scheduled capture or ad hoc capture. And this is powered by two different Matrox devices. We have a Monarch HD and a Monarch LCS. Again, if you're interested in trialing one of those devices with Ensemble Video 4.5, you can do that. So just to take a quick look at the Monarch LCS, the Monarch LCS is a hardware device to give you a sense of scale. This is about 8 inches long, about 1 to 2 inches high. It supports 2 video inputs. So you can have an SDI and an HDMI in, or 2 HDMI ins. There is a great page on our website that goes over some more details in regards to the Monarch LCS, but the idea here is it's a very simple, low cost, very functional device, and it supports 2 video inputs. I will be demonstrating this live today. As I mentioned, it does support 2 video inputs. So in the end, what a viewer is going to see or a student would see is they would see different layouts like this picture-in-picture mode on the left, where you have the faculty member maybe in the top right of the video player. And then, of course, you're going to have the PowerPoint below the instructor. You also can do a variation of side-by-side modes. We also have a device that works with Ensemble Studio called the Monarch HD. And this device actually allows you to capture 1 input. So in some campuses, you might have rooms that support 2 input capture. Some rooms could support 1 input capture. And then lastly, I do want to encourage you to talk to your colleagues to connect with us in as many ways as possible. One thing we're finding is many of our customers do not know that much about Ensemble Video. We would definitely encourage you to share the newsletter sign up page, which I'll share with you, to jump on our blog, and of course to connect with us on our social media sites. So anyway, why don't we get into the rest of the webinar here. And again, if you're interested in more information about the lecture capture area, if you go to our website and go to the lecture capture area on our website, you'll see that we have a significant amount of information to get you started when you want to learn about Ensemble Video. Specifically, we have information on the two different devices. So you can go to the Monarch LCS page and consume some more information, and you can go to the Monarch HD page and consume some more information. I am more than willing to give a in-depth detailed demo and again provide free trials for those devices. Also, I encourage you to to check out our support site. Many of you know this site or have been there, but if you go to our support site, it does include things like version summaries. So if some of you are on version 4.2 and you're wondering, hey, what the heck is on 4.5, 4.4, 4.3, we certainly have a lot of information in these version summaries. So this is a great place to go consume some more information about Ensemble Video. Also, you'll see that we do have a link to our newsletter sign up and links to our social media channels. Keep in mind, we have blogs. If any of you are interested in ever doing a guest blog telling us a little bit about what's been going on with video on your campus, we are more than willing to work with you on that. We do have a wiki, so if you have some network administrators or programmers that are interested in our wiki, or you're interested in our change logs for versions, you certainly can come here and learn a little bit more in detail about the new features, but also improvements and bug fixes to specific versions. And then, as I mentioned, we do have many different social media activities going on. Please follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, and if you would like, you can connect with us on Facebook. So let's get into the software demo. I want to start off with Ensemble Studio. This again is our lecture capture product. You can do ad hoc or scheduled captures. So the first thing that you're going to do here on the left is go to administration, and when you go to your organization, you have a tab called Studio Setup. So in the Studio Setup area, you can see that I have a device in my Radisson room in our office. So here you'll see that I can add Monarch HDs or LCSs. Again, these are those two devices I just highlighted. If I was to add an LCS, you'll see that I can come in here and associate this with my institution. I can name the device. I would give it an IP address or host name. So many computers and devices on your networks obviously have some sort of IP address or host name. You would provide a location, maybe room 101. You will be provided with the admin username or password, and then you can choose the different capture options. So I can say, hey, I want to do picture-in-picture. Maybe I want to do side-by-side. So you set the recording mode for the device, and then you're ready to go. Now, luckily, I have a device set up, so if I go to the settings, you'll kind of see here my very basic settings. You would validate your device and make sure that it connects. And my device is accessible to use. Great. So the next thing I can do is I can either choose to set up a schedule or I can set up an ad hoc recording. So we're going to kind of do both. Let's first go to the scheduling area, and you'll see that there are no schedules or scheduled recordings created. Let's create one, and I will call it recording, webinar scheduled recording. I can set a start time and an end time. I can tell it to auto record. So auto record means it's going to fire on its own. I can then choose to route it to a specific library in Ensemble Video. So this is handy. Maybe you want to send it to Professor Bryant's media library. And then I can set a recurrence. So I can say do this weekly, every single Thursday for the next 6 Thursdays. Hit save. And now I have a recording set up. And of course you can set up multiple recordings per device, because in most cases the device is going to be in a room. So you might have 5 classes throughout the day, and you would have 5 schedules in here. Now, if I go to the Ensemble Studio activity area, what you're going to see is I have a webinar scheduled recording. So this is telling me in the next 4 minutes I will have a recording. Now, what's nice about this is I also can do ad hoc recording. So in this case, I'm just going to start a recording really quickly. When I hit the record button, what this is going to do is it's going to go connect to my device, turn it on, and it's going to grab my PowerPoint, my rotating PowerPoint, and my video camera that I have set up in my office here. So what you'll do is see that. So this is just sending that out. And again, just remember a lot of this information, at least some introductory information, is on our landing page here. So this is the device we're actually going to be turning on right now. And if I go to that device, I'll just explain. I have one HDMI input is my computer. And of course, it could be a document camera, it could be a video conferencing system. It really could be anything that uses HDMI. I've plugged in my TV into it to test it. You also can then have a video camera that supports HDMI. And also, if you have a camera that supports SDI, you can do that. So you have many different options. But again, I just want to kind of come back here and let's take a look at our recording. So what you'll see here is we have a recording, and this was, again, an ad hoc recording. The workflow might be that a faculty member has come into a room and they just want to record. Maybe it wasn't scheduled. So that's Ensemble Studio and ad hoc recording. All right. So I can turn that on and turn that off. Again, you can give specific permissions to this tool as well. So you might want Professor Bryant to have access when he logs in, but you might not want Professor Smith to have access when they log in, and that's fine. So there is a permissions area inside of Ensemble Studio as well. So I'm going to show you that here in a second. But before I do that, I just wanted to pause and make sure you understood. You can do ad hoc recordings in the Ensemble Studio activity area, and you can then view your recording schedules in the Ensemble Studio activity area. Okay, and again, if I go back to the studio setup area, what you'll see here is we've gone over the settings and the schedule, and then I also can provide permissions to the device. So if I go to permissions, this is where you might say, hey, I want a specific user to be able to make recordings, or I want a specific user to be able to manage the device, or just access the scheduled recordings. So again, I can just say, hey, Kelly Jones can have access and make recordings. Okay. So that's Ensemble Studio. In the next few minutes, what's going to be happening here is that we will see my ad hoc recording show up in my media library. That will probably happen in the next minute. And then once my automated recording fires off, you'll see the video on demand file here. Okay. So Ensemble Studio is a really, really easy to use, simple tool for lecture capture, ad hoc capture, room capture, observation rooms inside of labs, whether it's a sales lab, a psychology lab. You can use it for a variety of things. By the way, those devices also live stream, so they kind of kill two birds with one stone. And in a perfect situation, what you'll see here in something like Blackboard is if I look at my studio example, this is a recording I did earlier, you'll see here that I can have attachments, like PDFs, PowerPoints, Word documents. You can have annotations, so if I want to jump to the point where I'm talking about the deployment options, I certainly can do that. And I'll also show you the closed caption options. So you can see I also have the closed captions on here. And if you're not familiar with our search and video feature, I certainly can do this. And I know I did say the word capture here. So you'll see all the different times I've highlighted the word capture, and I will jump to the 12 second in the video. Okay. So we will see our recordings that I'm actually doing. Here's the first one I did. So the very first ad hoc recording I recorded is showing up in Blackboard, which is good timing. And then the other video, the scheduled recording, will be firing off here soon. So there's the other video I just did. Okay. So Ensemble Studio is a very, very easy to use lecture capture system, and it's very affordable compared to some of the competition. I think what you'll see is our devices are under $2,500 per device, so I can get the price down to $2,370 for that dual input hardware capture device. If you're interested in a free trial, please contact me after the webinar. Now let's get into custom metadata. So one of the things that we've had a request on is some of our users wanted to manage the metadata and customize it. So if I was to go into an item here, what you'll see is I can type hello world. I can go into my copyright and I have genres. I have roles. These two fields are going to be customizable. So some of you might want to add or remove genres. We can do that. Some of you might want to add or remove roles. You can do that. And then some of you might say, hey, I would love to be able to feed my customers some controlled keywords. So if I was to click here, notice I can use some controlled keywords. I will show you the interface to adding these, but you can definitely do that. Now keep in mind when I'm using these controlled keywords, I can still enter text. Some of you may say, could you lock that down so people can't offer up or add their own custom keywords? And the answer is yes. So I'm going to show you that too. So you can kind of restrict metadata to the words that you provide, which can be useful. So I'm going to cancel out of this. We're not going to save this one. I'll show you the custom metadata area here. So let's go and delete this guy. Now let's go down to administration. By the way, this custom metadata can be added to organizations in Ensemble Video. For example, maybe your law school has specific metadata that they want to manage. You can do that. This can also be added at an institutional level, so everybody uses the same custom metadata. Let's scroll down here. You can see we have a custom metadata tab. I'm going to go to my institution and edit the custom metadata. Now here is where I can delete or add a genre. Let's just add one and hit enter. I can also add a role, enter. Now here is where I can add custom keywords or I can restrict to custom keywords. So let's do both here. I'm going to add the word webinar, enter. I'm also going to restrict to custom keywords. So now when I go back to Ensemble Video and try to add some metadata, it's only going to allow me to add these keywords into the cataloging area. All right, I have many different save options. I'm just going to overwrite all my metadata, hit save. Let's go back to my media library. And now I'll add a new video again. And if you notice here, I should have Scott genre, which I do. I should have Scott role, which I do. And then notice I have custom keyword is restricted. So now I can only do Anthem, automatic captions, Ensemble live. If I try to type in a word, it's going to restrict me from doing that. So I cannot enter any information unless it has been provided to me by an administrator. So that's the way that works. That is our custom metadata and controlled keywords area. Now I'm going to jump out of here again. Notice our scheduled recording is going. So again, you'll see here really quickly that this has started automatically. I did not start this one. So if you ever want to automatically start recordings or do it ad hoc, you can do that in Ensemble. And of course, you can stop it and start it again if you need to. Now, one of the neat features that came out recently was the automated captioning feature. That's where we can provide automatic captions for 5 cents a minute or less. One of the most common questions we got after adding that is, all right, I see that you can caption everything that we add to the system. I see that you can pick videos one by one, but can you go backwards and say, I need to bulk automatic caption everything? And the answer is yes. So here I could select, all my videos and say I want to bulk automatic caption them. So what this will do is send this through our automated captioning process, and depending on the amount that you submit, you will have a very, very quick turnaround time and have your captions automatically showing up on your videos. Okay. And by the way, you can see our scheduled recording is already in there. Wouldn't it be great if all of our scheduled recordings just automatically go to Blackboard? Let's refresh Blackboard here. And I went to the wrong area. Let's go to the right area there and come down. And there is my scheduled recording, and there is my ad hoc recording. So you can see it's very, very easy to capture content and then automatically feed it to Blackboard, a very hands-off process. Now, there's been a couple additions to the interface. One of them is the manage link. This is a very small change. We've had many people say, hey, you can go into the editing area, which is the metadata area. You can go into the publishing area, but you can't go to the management area. So in this case, you can go to the management area, which is where you would add links and attachments. You might download your video there. Certainly in the live stream area, you also have the ability to go to the manage area, which this is where some of the very important information is in the live stream area. You can go in and grab your live stream information. So that's a small interface change, trying to reduce clicks for you. So you can now jump into the managed area. One of the major interface updates or facelifts, I would say, is to our portal. So if you're not familiar with our video portal allows you to provide a YouTube-like interface to viewers where they can search. You can brand the portal. So you'll see here that I have a logo. I have some colors that I've added here. And of course, I have all these different channels. So you'll see all my different channels here. And in the course videos channel, what you can see is I have a horizontal scroller now. I can jump into each of these videos if I need to. I can jump into a studio example. And in the portal, of course, you are going to get all those sprinkles on the ice cream, as I would call them. You will get our, attachments, our annotation, so I can click and jump into points in time in the video. And I certainly also can search for the word capture again and jump to that point in time in the video. So the portal, again, is totally customizable in terms of logo, color scheme. It is also responsive. Okay? You can have unlimited portals in your organization. And of course, you can add specific playlists to each of the portals. We call these channels. All right, now we are going to look at very quickly some of the administrative options. Now, one of them is a little bit harder to demonstrate, but the idea is, again, that I am a faculty member and I want my faculty members, when they log into Blackboard, Canvas, Moodle, or Desire to Learn, when they launch the Ensemble Video Chooser the first time, it automatically creates an account for them. So basically what I'm saying is when this happens and I click on Ensemble Video, the mashup tool in Blackboard, it would automatically create my account in Ensemble Video, which is great. So that is now supported. If you have more questions on that, please go to our support site, and I'm happy to answer those questions offline or at the end of this webinar. Also, we now support auto provisioning for multiple roles. So what that means in English is you can now give people access to things like screen capture, Ensemble Anthem, Studio, automated captioning the first time they log in, rather than you manually adding those permissions. So the idea is a tool like this, Ensemble Anthem. This is our very simple, affordable screen capture tool. Currently, what you have to do is say, hey, I need to give permission to all my users for that. Well, wouldn't it be great if you could just set it up that the first time they log in, that you could give them access to that? So the way you do that is in the institutional area and in the identity provider area, and you can go to something like your LDAP setup and set up a provisioning rule. So what that means is I would come in here and say, when a user is in the capture group, let's say, I'm going to give them a certain role, a contributor, and I want it to auto create a library, and I want them to go into the, let's say, the business school organization. So again, if they're in the capture group in LDAP, they will be given the contributor rights. It will auto create a library and drop them in the business school organization. Now, the next thing that you can do, and this already existed, by the way, okay, you could automatically create accounts based on group, but the issue was you couldn't provide any resources to them. Now what you can say is, hey, I bought this great product, Ensemble Anthem or Studio or Automatic Captions. I want to make sure that I can give them Ensemble Anthem so they can record Ensemble Anthem. I want to make sure that I give them access to Ensemble Studio, and I want to make sure I can give them access to Automatic Captions. So now everything's getting more automatic in Ensemble Video. I can just say, hey, this person logs in, they get all these tools, and I'm done. And I'm just training them, showing them how to better use Ensemble Video. I'm not spending all my time setting up Ensemble Video. So that's a really nice feature. Again, that's that support for auto provisioning multiple roles. And there's more information on our support site on that. And then lastly, we do support nested LDAP support. I am not a network administrator or somebody that deals with identity providers too much. I do know that I can come in here and look at them. And now there is some filters, paths, and group filters where you can do nested LDAP support. So if any of your campuses are using subfolders in LDAP groups, you can use those. All right, so that's a lot of information about 4.5 in a short time. I am more than willing to answer some questions on this, but I did want to make sure you knew about the different features, whether it's the Monarch LCS, which again, we're offering free trials, the custom metadata, and the bulk submission of automatic captioning content, and the portal design. So now I will take questions.